Опять заплатил 100 тысяч за курс? Стоп. Знакомься, ssl.band. Здесь курсы инфо-цыган сливаются бесплатно. Бизнес, психология, шитье, кулинария, фитнес, языки, десятки тысяч материалов. От школьника до пенсионера найдется все. Без VPN. Без ограничений. Один платеж. И доступ навсегда. Уже сотни тысяч умных людей качают премиум знания за копейки. Заходи на ssl.band, регистрируйся за 30 секунд и забирай все. Этот курс ты уже скачал отсюда. Представь, что там еще есть.
In the following video, I'm going to present to you 10 methods, 10 approaches that you will apply. And what is a method? What is an approach? Well, it's basically an attitude. You are going to start viewing your world as presented in the methods. You are going to start viewing yourself different, and the attitude of your world will change. Okay, so a method, an attitude is you change your perception, you change your view. Let me give you an example. If I once thought that I would have to please someone in order to get something out of them, now my approach has changed, and because I view them as a puppet, I will no longer be in that identity. So it's how you view your world, how you perceive your people, your puppets. Now, when you perceive them as servants, when you perceive them as puppets, of course that you will no longer get hung up on doing techniques or doing everything in your power to get them. What you will do is your whole perspective will change, therefore your whole 3D will change. You will be able to sit in your throne and have puppets doing everything for you. You won't even need to lift a finger. Not that you ever needed. When you manifested a breakup, you didn't lift a finger. You just assumed they don't love you and they don't want you, and they want the blonde or the brunette with the big tits, or they want the guy with the big muscles. So you didn't lift a finger. You didn't go ahead in the 3D and find them the third party and make them meet and make them fall in love. You didn't go ahead in the 3D and tell your specific puppet, go love the other person or break up with me, do this, disrespect me. You didn't do all that because you did this within yourself. So the same way you manifested the breakup is the same way you're going to manifest, and not only the breakup, all the unpleasant circumstances, okay? You're going to change the narrative. You're going to change the way you perceive yourself, and by the simple question, who's the employee here? I'm not the employee. They are the employee, okay? So approaches, methods, perspective, they're all synonyms. 10 attitude shifts that will put you in the place that you deserve to be, in the place that you were all along. Nothing changes. You're just becoming aware of the fact that you were the supreme authority in your reality. Okay, let's buckle up for the most revolutionary methods and approaches that, when applied, will shift your identity and your perspective. You are no longer going to view your world and yourself like in the past anymore. Now, the first approach is divide and conquer. I'm going to tell you the approach, and I'm going to tell you how to apply them for every category in your life. So in the first, I will describe a little what the approach means, and then I'm going to continue by teaching you how to apply it with your specific puppet, with your career, money, and with your health. Now, what is divide and conquer? Divide and conquer means dividing your concept and conquering every little element of the concept that it obtains. When you, let's say for example, you are like David and Goliath, okay? So you feel like a tiny little insignificant, powerless human being, and in front of you is your manifestation, is your desire, which feels like kind of a monster, kind of like someone attacking you or being against you. Now, by dividing and conquering it, you are going to divide it into tiny little pieces, and then you are going to conquer every element that it has. Let's divide and conquer your specific puppet. So, in a graphic below, in the graphic in the workbooks, I have showed you how your specific puppet is made out of elements. When you affirm for them, when you affirm for yourself, you might feel kind of resistive towards your specific puppet because you take it as a whole. You take it as a whole identity, personality, when actually they are not. But I'm going to tell this in another video. I'm not going to bother you with that. So, your specific puppet is made out of brain, heart, eyes, nose, lips, tits, and the intimate part, okay? Dick or pussy, okay? Feet, skin, body, hands, fingers. Now, taken as a whole, you might quite feel terrified, or you might feel like inferior to them, because if you've been trying to manifest them for a long time, then you are going to feel a little powerless and a little like worshipping them and begging them to give you just a tiny piece of crumb of attention. You take them as a whole, and unconsciously you give them free will. You think that behind those eyes, there is a soul taking decisions, or there is someone in there taking the decision. So you take them as a whole, as a personality. That's why you feel intimidated by them. Now, in divide and conquer, what we are going to do, as I showed in the graphic, we are going to set aside the parts that they are composed of. So we're going to start commanding every element that they have. Instead of commanding them as a whole, we're going to command every element. For example, their eyes only crave to see me. So you're not going to command a whole personality in the hope that they will. You're going to command the eyes. The eyes in themselves obtain the personality and are only eager to see you. Now, why divide and conquer works is because by default, you know that the eyes are object. And by default, you have so many years in which the assumption that objects don't have free will is very well sustained. So you do know the eyes in themselves don't have free will because they're objects. So let's go by doing this example. And I'm going to tell you a set of affirmations, and you're going to tell me, where do you feel more safe into affirming? He loves me. Feels kind of resistive, doesn't it? He loves me, like he has a choice to not love you because he's an entire personality. He loves me. Well, in your mind, you're like, yeah, I wish, but... Let's go to the other affirmation. His heart, the heart in itself, beats for me. Detach from the idea that he. Focus on the idea that the heart in itself adores you. The heart in itself beats for you. I know you can do it. Come on, you just need a tiny little practice. Listen to my words. The heart in itself, the heart as a concept, the heart as it has its own identity, adores you. His heart wants you. Doesn't it feel more safe? Now bear in mind that you being the God of all gods, when you feel resistive towards the idea that you created your specific person, this is a very good idea to take it indirectly. No one told you have to go directly and say, oh, he loves me. You'll be able to do that at some point. But right now, you're going to make it easy for yourself. And I'm telling you why. Because when you divide and conquer, and you grasp the idea that all the elements, all the organs that are in him work for you and are your employees, there's nothing to fear. His brain, his eyes, his feet, their feet. I just said, I'm just saying he, because I don't know, most of my clients are women. It goes for women, okay? When you know that their brain, their heart, their vessel, their fingers, their skin, their lips, their tongue, their ears, their penis, their pussy is devoted to you and only you, then if you split them into pieces, as I've shown in the graphic below, what are they left with? What is your specific puppet left with? Nothing. Nothing commands those elements but you. Nothing commands those organs but you. You've put the organs in them, and you've molded, and you've created, and you've linked the organs in them, and you've created your specific puppet. So when it feels resistive to affirm for them, because for some reason you still might tend to unconsciously think that they have the free will, affirm for the organs. Okay? Now, let's go with the list of affirmations. Not only are these going to help you in triggering moments, but they are also going to make you feel stable, relaxed, and secure that nothing bad is going to happen anymore. Let's say you got triggered. Let's say they do something in the 3D to trigger you. You don't give a fuck anymore. They ghost you. You are going to be able, you are going to disqualify that circumstance from continuing itself. When even they ghost you, you say, I know your heart aches for me. I know your heart is desperate for me. I don't care. Your mind is obsessed with me. When they are out partying, and there are other people there, which could be potentially threats, you're going to say, I don't care. I have nothing to worry about. I'm not afraid because I know their eyes only crave to see me. Their dick only gets hard for me. Their pussy only gets wet for me. So you are going to accept the fact that whoever you falsely believed controls those organs is no longer in charge. Because why? Those organs are your alibi. They work for you. They are your servants. And when you take a step back, you're going to see, well, who gave them the vessel? Of course I did. Now bear in mind, these approaches are funny if you can affirm for them without believing they have free will. Go ahead, but otherwise, why would you buy the course? So you obviously don't. You still believe they have free will. So let's divide and conquer, okay? List of affirmations. I've also written them in the diagram, but hearing me say them is going to maybe click in you. Stop affirming for them. Let's go a little with the components of our specific puppet. Your brain is obsessively thinking about me. Your brain, the brain in itself is obsessively thinking about me. Your eyes, the eyes in themselves. Do you see how I don't even bother with your existence? I'm bothered with the eyes. I work with the eyes now. I don't care about you. I don't even bring you into discussion. I'm not even focusing on you. I don't even care about you anymore. I care about my servants now. And my servants are your eyes. So your eyes craves to see me. Your eyes sparkle of desire to see me. I am everything your eyes want to see. Your fingers, the fingers in themselves, the fingers as an element, as a separated element from everything you thought your specific puppet was. The fingers in themselves, they only want to touch you. They crave. The fingers in themselves, they got a brain of their own, and that brain is obeying you. And that brain is saying, touch, touch, touch. I want to touch my God. The ears in themselves, the ears only crave to hear the sound of your voice. You see how many alibis you now, man? So when you had your specific puppet, okay, and he was a whole, and you thought the fingers were controlled by whatever the thing you thought was in him, in her, and the brain and the eyes and the mouth and the words and the lips. Your lips only want to kiss me. The lips in themselves, I don't even give a fuck about you. What do you think will happen when you take every element? Like there are at least, you now have at least, I don't know, say, if you count the items, I think there are 10 items. You at least have 10 organs in your favor. What are they left with? They are left with nothing. So when you take something as a whole, and you're scared of it. Take, for example, a monster, and you're scared with it, and you start chopping it off. Like you chop the head off, and you put it, and you chop the hands, and you chop the feet, and you chop the fingers. It doesn't terrify you anymore, right? Because you might be terrified of your specific person, I'm not gonna lie. I've been there, yeah. You might be scared of them, scared of what they might say, but when you chop them off, and you put the elements aside, you're not going to be scared anymore. It's not going to be a monster that you fight or a monster that you try to grasp its attention. You're going to understand that there are elements obedient to you because they are objects and you put them there, okay? And it's normal, and it's, of course, it's normal to made believe more that the fingers in themselves are obeying me than a whole different person, because I've had this assumption for 30 years, and people do have free will, which they don't, but it's easier for me to think that the eyes in themselves don't have free will, because they're eyes. If you poke them out, they don't have emotion by themselves, right? So when you divide a monster, you're not going to see it as terrifying, as powerful, okay? Now, with the divide and conquer, well, no, this is another approach, so I'm not gonna go into it. Let's go into the approach of career, money. How do you divide and conquer in the money area? Okay, so you've been trying to manifest a large sum of money, and it feels terrifying, it feels impossible, it feels like a mountain, so to speak, that you are trying to take and grasp and bring it into your reality. How do you do that with money? Well, you take the large sum of money and you understand, what is that large sum of money actually? Well, isn't it tiny little bills? Because even $10 million or $10 billion, well, if you take the concept and you look at it, you see it like a mountain, but have you actually understood what 10 millions of dollars are? Aren't they many, many, many bills of 100s? Now look at the 100 bill. It doesn't look so powerful, does it? It doesn't look so frightening. It doesn't look like something that would be so, how to call it? It would be so against you. It wouldn't, would it? So divide and conquer with money is that instead of affirming for the large sum of money and making it a whole, you're going to take and divide it by tiny little bills. And you're going to start affirming for the bills. So in the diagram that regards money, in the divide and conquer chapter, I've shown you how you can view and perceive money as tiny little minions, every minion representing a $100 bill. So when you start perceiving money not as a large sum that it tends to frighten you or to build some resistance towards you, what you're going to do is you're going to perceive them as tiny little minions, all of them creating the larger sum, and you're going to perceive these minions as rushing to you, as being faithful to you, as aiding you into obtaining what it is that you want. So you're basically going to divide the large sum of money into tiny little pieces, into tiny little bills, and then affirm for the bills. Now, in order for the health and to get rid of illness and manifest perfect health for yourself, I've showed you in the diagram 3 that you're not going to start a fight with the concept of illness. What you're going to do is you're going to put your trust in all the cells of your body, and that means you are going to perceive all the cells of your body aiming to please you and aiming to heal you. Okay, so all the cells are working for you. Okay, divide and conquer. You're going to split everything into tiny little items, and then you're going to view everything as working in your favor. Okay, that's for divide and conquer technique. So in the diagram that regards money, in the divide and conquer chapter, I've shown you how you can view and perceive money as tiny little minions, every minion representing a $100 bill. So when you start perceiving money not as a large sum that it tends to frighten you or to build some resistance towards you, what you're going to do is you're going to perceive them as tiny little minions, all of them creating the larger sum, and you're going to perceive these minions as rushing to you, as being faithful to you, as aiding you into obtaining what it is that you want. So you're basically going to divide the large sum of money into tiny little pieces, into tiny little bills, and then affirm for the bills. Now, in order for the health and to get rid of illness and manifest perfect health for yourself, I've showed you in the diagram 3 that you're not going to start a fight with the concept of illness. What you're going to do is you're going to put your trust in all the cells of your body, and that means you are going to perceive all the cells of your body aiming to please you and aiming to heal you. Okay, so all the cells are working for you. Okay, divide and conquer. You're going to split everything into tiny little items, and then you're going to view everything as working in your favor. Okay. Let's go to the second approach of the course. Now, the second approach of the course will be personifying objects, personifying concepts. Now, I also teach you that you should start being the CEO of your company, and your company is your world, is your 3D world. Now, by personifying the ideas, the concepts that you are intermingling with, I've made a diagram in which I present you what I actually mean. So in the first picture, you will meet 3D, which is an old man, an old butler, ready to serve you, ready to bring you your desires, your manifestations. Now, below him, it's love. You see, she's a red-headed, beautiful woman, and she's in charge of the love and relationships department. Now, next is money. He is a young teenager with green hair, because money is represented by green hair in my mind. So he is in charge of your money department. And final but not least is health, a tiny little old lady that is always protective and doing everything to please you and to protect you. So you've made these 4 people. Now, in the diagram that I'm going to also put below in the workbook, there will be the diagram of authority. Now, you're on the top of the pyramid, okay, and you're giving the instructions. Now, your first in order is the 3D. Now, you give your orders to the 3D, he takes care of giving the orders to each department, and then each department is taking care of giving the orders to the people. This method, this approach not only aids you in not micromanaging all the people in your life, because as you view in the diagram, can you see how tiny and little they are? And there are so many people. So when you're actually talking to the people yourself in your mind, when you're giving them commands directly in your head, what you will tend to do is you will tend to put the focus in the wrong spot. You will tend to focus on them and less on yourself and on your power. So this approach aims to keep you in a steady position of power while you start trusting that everything is taken care of. And how is everything taken care of? By personifying the elements, your energies, the concepts that you've created. Now the 3D is a concept that you created, is your playground. But when you view it, like when you feel like you're in the middle, how am I? Like I'm in nature, okay? And I am in the middle of a 3D scenery, right? Now, this might, if I focus long enough on my surroundings, I will start thinking that these surroundings have their own independent mind, when actually they don't. So I am not a guest in this territory. I am actually the creator of this territory. This is my territory. I've created it, right? Trees are mine, the benches are mine, the grass is mine, everything is mine because I created it. So in order to not fall into the illusion that you are just a guest on this planet, you are just a guest on this earth, you are going to personify everything that surrounds you and make it, like in my case, I drew you a picture of a mid-aged butler, okay? So you are going to talk to the concept. You're no longer going to be bothered in micromanaging or feeling like a guest in your own country, so to speak, in your own land, in your own kingdom. So you're going to imagine and personify the 3D as the most loyal butler that is here to serve you. Now, in the love department, okay, let's say to the love department, you want to manifest a loving relationship with your specific puppet. Now, can you see how your puppet is so low on the scale of value, of the scale of authority? So there are basically many heads. There are many. Your specific puppet is just one of many. Now, when you affirmed for your specific puppet, you tended to give them the whole importance. You tended to forget that you're the one in charge and not them. So you falsely thought that, hey, I have to convince them, or I have to convince myself in my mind that they will accept me as their partner. Now, what you're going to do is you're no longer going to focus on your specific puppet. You're going to allow love to focus on them. You're going to allow love to do his job. Because you see, in your company, everyone has their job. Everyone is your employee. So everyone is doing their job. Now, when you ask from your 3D, or when you ask from yourself to have a relationship with a specific puppet, when that specific puppet comes and gives you the love, the attention, it's just a job. It's in their job descriptions. That's their job, and they are paid with your attention. So their their salary is their life. You give them life, so you pay them the salary by giving them life. Now, when it comes to specific puppets, you might tend to fall under the illusion that they are giving you love and attention and whatever they're giving you from their own self. Let's just say like that. So if there was a storehouse and the storehouse was on their name, you might tend to think that they take love from the deposit and give it to you. That means they are left with less love, and that's why it comes in your mind. You're thinking, whether do they want to give me their love like it's something they're going to give, and it's just like you think they're giving you an object from their house and they're going to be left out with that object. Well, guess what? They are not giving it from themselves. They have nothing to give. They are not source of love. They are not source of attention. Now, what they are doing, they are just the neutral participant in what you are giving yourself. Now, in order to make you understand this better, I'm going to give you an example. Now, let's say, for example, I am in the room with you and you come to me and you say, hey CJ, I brought myself the most wonderful diamond bracelet. Could you play pretend that you are going to gift it to me? Now, you walk out the door, and when you come back, I give you the bracelet. You might tend to think that it's me giving you the gift, but actually you were the one buying the bracelet for yourself. You just handed me the bracelet to give it to you. Now, I didn't spend anything, I didn't bring you anything, you brought it to yourself through me. So that's what you're actually doing with your specific puppet. That's why you should never ask for their consentment, you should never ask for their permission, because nothing is there to give. If they give you love, it's because you gave it to yourself. If they ghosted you, it's because you ghosted yourself through them. So they are just a neutral participant in all this. Now, in order for you to no longer deal with them, therefore making your point of focus on them, on the object, on the tiny little puppet, you're going to entertain and talk to love. So imagine this, your specific puppet is working at the cleaning stuff of the company. Now you're the high manager, okay? You're the CEO, you're the highest in the pyramid, and you dealing and commanding your specific puppet to do specific things and wondering whether they're gonna do it or not. It's like you, the big CEO of the company, are begging for from someone from the cleaning stuff to do their fucking job. Can you see how stupid and humiliating that is? That's why you never got results. So what you're doing is you're going to command love, which is the manager of the love and relationship departments, and let her deal with it. Okay, you don't even care. You go live your life. It's taken care of. Love is the best manager you have. She's gonna take care of all the dirty work for you. Okay, you don't even have to worry about anything. So that's the approach that I'm presenting you. You're going to make allies. You're going to trust them because they are working for you. That's what personifying your ideas, your energies, so to speak, is. Now, let's talk about the Department of Money. You do the same thing with the Department of Money. You give the command to the 3D, I want money. Now the 3D gives the command to the teenage boy, and he takes care of everything for you. What happens behind the scenes, and this is the mechanisms that happens behind the scene, is that the manager in charge of the money department is going to give commands and orders to all the people in your 3D reality, and they are going to bring to you your own product. Okay, can you see how it is? Now, for health, it's the same thing. Yes, you give the command to health, and she's going to take care of everything for you. So this approach of personifying your ideas, your concepts, not only allows you to be safe and relaxed in your own power, but it also takes care of all the little tiny details that need to happen in order for you to get your own shit. Okay? Now remember, and there are some important things you need to remember, they are not giving anything from them. So they don't have, and when I say them, I'm talking about your specific puppets. They are not giving the money from their bank accounts. They are not giving love from their own resources of love, and therefore putting you in the false illusion that they might, like, they don't have any more resources, right? You don't get health from, I don't know, up above in the sky. Everything that you receive in the 3D, you receive it from yourself. So if anyone has to give permission to anyone, that's you. You have to give permission to yourself to have these things, because you've created them for yourself in order for you to have them. That's why you created them. Now, imagine creating love and health and money for someone else to have it. Now, when you are faced in the 3D, with circumstances that show you that some other puppet got love, some other puppet is marrying, some other puppet has millions of dollars, and it might seem that they got a desire instead of you, remember that your specific puppets cannot actually experience anything. Now, in the next diagram, I'm going to show you why your specific puppet cannot experience anything and how come you are the only one experiencing everything. But until the diagram, I'm going to tell you, remember that this world was created for you. Now, in this example of personifying the items, the elements in your life, I'm also going to give the example of you being the only customer at the restaurant. So imagine your whole 3D being a big restaurant, okay? Now, the menu, you're the one receiving the menu. There's no one else in the restaurant. Everyone else in the restaurant that it's working there, it's a waiter, okay? So your specific puppets, and I'm not only talking about your specific puppet, I'm talking about all the puppets, okay? The puppets that you know, the puppets that you don't know yet, all the billions and billions of puppets that you created here in the 3D. So you are in the restaurant. Now, bear in mind that everyone is working for you. It's your restaurant. Any food that you order has been already prepared for you from your own resources, okay? They didn't take from anyone to give it to you. You give it to yourself. So no one is left without resources, okay? Now, as being the only customer in the restaurant, you're the only one that gets to have the menu, okay? The waiters don't get to have the menu, no one else. And now let's say, for example, in the menu, and I'm going to write the menu down. In the menu, there are going to be lots and lots and lots of foods, but basically they could be parted in two categories, and there would be the unpleasant foods, aka in our example, breakups, disrespect, ghosting, being poor, no money, no health, everything going to shit. And there is a category of the good foods, the pleasant foods, the one that we like, marriage, love, attention, respect, praise, health, whatever you guys want, okay? So on the other, now the menu is already created, okay? Now the good thing about being God is that, you know, when you taste the food, you don't actually know what the food will taste, and then you make it an unpleasant experience for yourself. But the good thing about us gods is that for some circumstances we already know that they are unpleasant, like for wars, rape, violence, murder, etc., etc. We know those circumstances are bad without having the need to experience them. We already know. We don't need to experience them to know. Now, in the menu, you get to select the food. Now, when you go to a normal restaurant, do you think the waiter is going to tell you, no, I'm not bringing that? You're not even questioning the waiter, like he's there to do his fucking job. You're not even questioning yourself. Am I in the position where I'm going to be served or not? Now, when you order the food, do you really care what the chef is doing in the kitchen? Or are you micromanaging every detail, like the way you're doing with your specific puppet, or with your money, or with your health? You don't micromanage whether the chef is cutting the food. You don't micromanage whether he has a bad day or not. You're not even questioning. You don't even give a fuck about what the chef feels or what the chef thinks. He's put there for one job, and that job is to cook you the meal so that you can feed yourself. Now, that's why you don't have to micromanage what's happening in your 3D. So let's say, for example, a specific puppet, and you're manifesting marriage or love with them, and you're currently in no contact, or you're currently in a circumstance that says they don't know me, they haven't met me. Now, you wouldn't sit around micromanaging and saying, affirming for the text messages and for the dates and for the for every element that needs to take place in order for you to get your manifestation. Why? Because you don't care. Like, you're so fucking high, you're so fucking elevated that you wouldn't even sit around micromanaging. I get a text message, they call me every day, I get contact, he's sending me a message now, blah blah blah. Because to be honest, you want marriage. Now, the text message has nothing to do with the marriage. Can you see how far apart you are? It's like you're contemplating getting in your car, and you're in let's say, I don't even know, let's say you're in Italy and you want to get to New York. Now, you micromanaging and handling every tiny detail of your bridge of incidents would be you sitting around and contemplating the car in order to get to New York. But what I'm teaching you here now to do is set the intention, I'm going to get to New York, and I don't care how, because the 3D is going to take care of it. Okay, so I have the 3D has my back. I don't even have to worry about all the details. Like, my 3D is my travel agent. I know that. And this is a very good approach, because basically the 3D cannot actually hurt you. Why? Because you are the 3D. You understand? You are the 3D, so you cannot actually hurt yourself. Now, you're going to have to trust your 3D, because it's your creation. So no more fear about our environment, no more fear about our world. Our world is here to serve us, and that's what you're going to do from now on. So you go to the restaurant, you have the menu, you select the food, automatically the waiter has to bring it to you, gives the order to the chef cooks you the food, and now it brings you to your table. Now bear in mind, all the meat, all the food that you're gonna eat, it's created from your own resources, okay? So it's basically, they're not even, I don't know, don't even think they're getting tired or something. They work extra hours for you because they're basically your servants. They are created by you, okay? Now, don't be guilty, don't feel guilty by having what you want. This is another major issue that I've seen in the manifestation community. Some might feel guilty about having their desires, and I'm going to touch base this subject in another video, okay? Now, the director giving roles approach. Now, I know this is not new, but I am going to explain it my way, and I've also made a picture to show you how you are actually doing. Now, imagine you are in that picture and you're the one giving the roles to your specific puppets. Now, the roles you are going to give them, the script you are going to give them, is solely based on your own self-concept. What is the self-concept? The idea that you hold about yourself. Now, the idea that you hold about yourself is also the idea that you hold about the experiences that you can have. For example, I would never imagine being disrespected, or I would never imagine of myself being beaten up or something like that. Why? Because I respect myself that much in order to not entertain that idea about myself. So I think so highly of myself, which translates as no one would dare hurt me. Now, based on this, I'm giving roles to my specific puppets, to my puppets. Now, those roles, their script contains, I'm never gonna disappoint CJ, I wouldn't dare hurt CJ, CJ is my whole life, CJ is my only choice, I adore CJ. Now, this is the script you give to your specific puppets. Now, when you deal in the 3D with different scripts, don't panic and don't be like a fucking maniac thinking that the new script you intend for your specific puppet to play is not yet played. So this is the most important thing. When you look in your 3D, as I said, personifying your 3D makes you feel a little less tightened, a little less stressed, because even if the 3D is showing you something that you don't currently like, you can just go about your day and you say, you know what, I don't care, the 3D's got it. The 3D got it, it's gonna solve itself out, I don't give a fuck, this is the role I give, and that's that. Now, free will is a very, very important thing. Now, if you've done reverse engineer, by now, you will understand that no one in your reality has the free will, like they're not making their own decisions, okay? You are deciding for them. You define them and their lives. So, this going hand in hand, it should make it easy for you to give the roles that you like to everyone. Now, I'm going to take, for example, me. So let's say, for example, in my relationship, my specific puppet starting to behave a different way. Now, I'm not going to start affirming for her. I couldn't give a fuck anymore. So what I would say is, don't make me regret I gave you this part. Like, don't make me regret I gave you the label of being my girlfriend. Now when I do this from the I am the VIP, being with me is a privilege, I'm the best, I don't give a fuck, so don't make me regret I gave you this label of being my girlfriend. Now I'm just saying this, automatically she changes behavior. Why? Because I no longer hold the image of her in my head that she could make her own decisions, because she never did anyways. So you're going to have a more different approach when it comes to your life, and you're going to be more arrogant and more narcissistic in order to please yourself. Now bear in mind, and this is where I'm going to go about the guilt thing. Either you feel guilty or not for having your desires, you are still manifesting your reality. So if you please to, self-sabotage and make it hard for yourself, then go ahead, be my guest. So don't feel guilty for, it's not selfish. That's actually why you're here, to experience your desires. Like, what sane person would want to be here and believe of themselves that they are not worthy of receiving their desires? No sane person would do that, right? Now, you've been given the opportunity to understand that you are creating your reality. Even if you don't accept it, you are still going to create your reality. It's going to be right in front of your fucking faces until at some point you won't be able to deny it. So give the roles that you like, but first give yourself the role. Now below the photograph where I show you how you give roles to people, what you have to keep in mind are the following. The world that you've created is dual. What does duality mean? Well, you see the concepts of beautiful, ugly, poor, rich, loved, unloved, chosen, unchosen, worshipped, unworshipped, and when you have the concepts of worshipped, unworshipped, there you have the concept of worshiper and worshipped one. You also have the concepts of employee, boss, etc., etc., child, parent. Now, there is no in between, okay? Because someone that is not someone that is average beautiful, it's not beautiful, it's actually not so ugly, but it's still in the category of ugly. Someone that has an average salary is not actually rich, but it's not so poor, so it still goes in the poor category. Now who's in the middle? You are in the middle. So imagine yourself being in the middle and choosing. Do you remember, and I think I'm also going to put that picture on. Do you remember when we were kids and there would be like the cartoons where we had, here we have the angel and here we have the devil, so we have two choices and we have to choose from those two choices. Now when you choose from these choices, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to embody and you're going to play that role in your movie. So for example, there are only two choices. You can either be the employee or the boss, okay? Now what happens when you choose, because you are the only one choosing, your specific person is not choosing to be anything. Specific person, I said, sorry, specific puppet. So your specific puppet cannot choose to be anything. They cannot choose to be the boss or the employee. Now you're the only one making the choice. The choice is yours. You're the only one being offered these two concepts, employee, boss, and you have to choose left or right, okay? So let's say, for example, you've chosen by mistake, based on past experiences or whatever, false illusions, whatever the reason is. You don't even give a fuck what the reason is. You just chose to be the employee, okay? Now, because the role, the part of the boss is empty, someone has to occupy it. Now, who will occupy it? Everyone. Everyone will occupy the role of a boss because you have identified yourself as the employee. You play the part of an employee in your own reality. Therefore, you have to be the employee of a boss. Okay? So you've given by mistake the script of the boss to your specific puppets. Okay? What happens if you decide to move from the role of employee and move to the role of a boss? Now what happens is you have the power, and only you have the power to choose and go in the role of the boss. Okay, in the part of the boss, to play the part of a boss. And I'm not only talking about being the boss like the CEO boss, I'm also talking energetically. Okay, like servant master, this kind of energy. Okay, the identity, the results that you get. Now, when you move to the part of the boss, what happens to the role of the employee? It remains empty. Therefore, it has to be occupied. Who will be occupied by? Your specific puppets. So it's basically like you're occupying the role, and then you have an awakening and you say, hey, I don't want this anymore, so come on, get up, get out of this role. I'm going to go there, I'm going to occupy that. So there is nowhere to go. The role of the servant, the role of the employee has to be filled. Now, when you're given the role of the employee to your specific puppet, you've given them the role of the worshipper, the pursuer, the chaser, and nothing changes. Okay, so you've given them the role of the pursuer, but what you're actually doing, you're pursuing them. So even after you've given them the role, if you continue behaving as they should be behaving, guess what? They cannot behave the way you want them to behave if you behave as them. I'm gonna say it again. You have two roles, okay? Worshipper and worshipped. Okay, now you've given your specific puppet the role of the worshipper, but you behave as the worshipper. That means you occupy that state, you occupy that role, you occupy that identity. So because your specific puppet cannot be in the same identity as you, there is no room for the two of you to be in the same spot. He has to go to the role of the worshipped one. Okay, so if you want him to worship you and be worshipper, you have to start being the worshipped one. What that means, you're going to start behaving and having the attitude of the worshipped one. What would the worshipped one do? How would they play their part? The pursued one, the only choice one, what would they do? Well, first of all, they wouldn't do techniques to find out how to manifest the specific puppet. That's not boss behavior. That's not God behavior. That's not worshipped one behavior. That's worshiper behavior, because you're worshiping the idea of being with them. Therefore, you're doing everything in your power to be with them. Okay? Well, first of all, second of all, the worshipped one, the chosen one, the only choice, the God, the boss, wouldn't do anything in the 3D to make it happen. The worshipped one would know, and when I'm saying no, you don't have to have the inner conviction, but you would just know, like, is this silent breeze, there is silence. It's like you would just know that they would do everything to be with you because you're the worshipped one, right? Because you gave them the part of the worshiper. So you cannot behave as the worshiper if you want them to behave as the worshiper. Okay? Now, the worshiper wouldn't initiate contact out of desperation and need in order to get a response from their own worshiper to get their attention. Can you see how it comes? Now, the worshipped one wouldn't beg from attention from the worshipper. They would know it's their job. So, is these little steps, is this little action that you take that will put you in the identity of the worshipped one. Now, you have to contain yourself. You'll have to contain yourself. You're a grown-up. Every time you wake up and you decide, for example, let's say you decide to stalk their social media to see what they're up to, or you decide to go there and see when they were last active. Is this really you behaving as the worshipped one? You're not leaving room for your specific puppet to occupy the state of the worshipper because you're behaving as a worshipper. Therefore, by default, they have to be the worshipped one. Two choices. When you're in a spot, they have to be in the opposite spot. When you're in the other spot, they will have to be in the opposite spot. You cannot both be in the same state, in the same identity. The car seats. Okay, so there is the driver's seat, and I just hope you have the wheel on your left. But even if you have it on your right, that's not the point, okay? Don't get overanalyzing your shit. So you have the driver's seat, which is with the wheel, which is the one in charge, the one in control, the boss, the blah blah blah. And then you have the seat of the person's being driven by. Now, let's say, for example, you have sit by mistake and you behave as someone driven, as someone controlled, either by the circumstances, even by your thoughts, even by your, either by your 3D by your specific puppet. Okay, so you're the one driven, you're the one created, you're the one basically you're a fucking victim. Okay, so you're a victim. And you have taken this place, you have taken this seat. Now, because there are only 2 seats in the car, who will have to take the other seat? Well, the other seat will be occupied by either by the 3D circumstances, either by your thoughts, either by your specific puppet, blah, 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 blah. How do you change seats? Well, you remember you have a choice. You remember you're in the seat simply because you mistakenly occupied it. No one is forcing you to occupy it still. Once you understand you're occupied, get up, go around the car, kick the other puppet sitting in your seat, take your own seat. By default, they have to be in the car. That's why they will occupy the other seat. Now, do you think your specific puppet will say, no, I want to stay there? No, they won't. They are obligated by default to occupy the other seat. Okay? So what's the main conclusion here? Whether it's seats or whether it's the role you play. What will you do when you cannot consciously either get out of the seat and occupy the other seat, or you cannot consciously switch identities? And how do you make your way into the identity? I find it easier when you cannot consciously, instead of saying, I'm worshipped, blah. Your rejection of being, thinking, and acting as a worshipper, so your refusal, your rejection, I deny my position as a worshipper, will automatically throw you in the other state. You have to be somewhere. You have to occupy something. So, When you refuse to be the chaser, the beggar, the employee, the servant, the slave, the victim, guess what's going to happen? You have already become the worshipped one, the adored one. Now, what happens when you have refused your state, you have refused your previous identity, but you still see in the 3D no movement, no change? You continue fucking refusing to behave like a fucking maniac and like a fucking beggar. It's your actions that reveal your state. It's your actions that aid you into understanding who are you really occupying. I'm going to give you my personal example from when I didn't have my SP and I was in the process of manifesting her. So I was affirming all day long, I'm God, I'm in charge, oh, I'm powerful, woo! And something happened and she moved to another store. And I said, as the very loving, powerful God that I am, I'm going to go see her. Right? Because that's what God does. Okay. So I said, I'm gonna go see her. And I was on my way, and it was a little far, yeah? In the 3D, I said, I'm gonna go see her. Like, I checked my feet, I packed my bag, and I said, we were not together back then. So, I said, I'm gonna go see her. And as I was walking towards the store, I had like a flash of identity switch. And I said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. And these were my exact words. So if I'm God, and she's my servant, she's my hologram, and she has to obey me, yeah. And I'm here in the 3D chasing her, behaving as a fucking servant. Then what kind of God am I? So I'm giving the commands and I'm also chasing in the 3D. What kind of fucking God am I? Am I really God? Am I really behaving as God? Can't she come see me? Why do I have to do anything? I'm fucking God. Why the fuck do I have to chase in the 3D and behave like a fucking slave, a fucking servant? Can't she come see me? She'll come see me. I stopped. I turned around from my road, aka, in our language it translates, I refused to behave and be a fucking servant. I refused. What did that refusal of mine, what did that rejection of identity did to me? It threw me in the state of the receiver. It threw me in the identity of being pursued. It threw me in the identity of being the boss. What they did to her, it threw her in the identity of the chaser, of the pursuer. So I was minding my own business and I went to coffee and I said, you know what, fuck that. I'm God. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to behave like a fucking servant in my own fucking territory. I'm behaving like a fucking slave, fucking servant, serving my own fucking holograms, which are my creation, as in my own fucking home, in my own fucking land. I'm a fucking peasant in my own fucking land. No, fuck that. I'm the ruler of the land. The peasants do their job. The servants do their job, not me. Like, it's even hard enough. Like, I have one job, giving the command. Why do I have to do anything in the last? I don't. And I stopped, I went buy my coffee. I rejected the identity. I said, no more. I'm not gonna behave like this anymore. I'm not gonna think like this anymore. It wasn't a good idea anymore, you know? Like, even the thoughts change. Even your thoughts shift. You won't think it's a good idea anymore. I went to drink my coffee. 2 hours later, she was standing right in front of me, She found me out of thin air. She never knew I was there. She found me out of thin air. Did it happen? And not even 2 hours. I don't even think it was 2 hours. I think it was earlier. Why? Because I shifted. Because I refused to occupy the seat next to the driver. I said, you know what? Fuck that. Go away. You're not having the wheel of my life. I have. You're just going to be driven around. I stopped behaving as a servant. I stopped behaving as a slave. So that's what you're going to do when you cannot consciously make the choice. You reject the other state. And because you have two choices, you're going to be left with the other one. Okay? That's how you handle your 3D. You stop yourself from doing stupid things. That's how you support who you have become, who you are. By not behaving as a fucking servant in your own fucking reality. The two tables approach. Now, based on the previous approach, the previous you giving role to your specific puppets method, you are going to also have the two tables approach. Remember what I said, that there are only two choices. Now, imagine your two choices being placed in an infinite wide room, and there being two wooden tables in the room. Okay, now one wooden table has a carton that says no, and one wooden table has a box that says yes, meaning the possibilities, because there are only two possibilities. Remember, the world is dual, okay? You are dual, so you only have two possibilities. You either have your manifestation or you don't, which means it's possible for you for whatever reason, or it's not possible for you for whatever reason. Now, have you seen how the yes is so simple? It's so quiet, it's so silent. It's just a yes with conviction, and it erases all the no's that you could invent for yourself. Now, have you seen how the no's, there is so much chatter around for why you couldn't have it, but they have a third party, but they're married, but they are pregnant, but they're from another culture, but it's another religion. They are older, they're younger, they're fatter, they're thinner, they're poor, they don't want me, they blah 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 blah. So many chatter that makes you tired, makes you, I don't know, it really makes you puke. So when you have all this chatter in your mind, instead of fighting the chatter, all this chatter goes into the no box. So you box it up and you put it on a table. Now, you're the one in charge. Remember, you're the most powerful entity in your reality. Now, when you place the boxes on the tables, you have the power to completely erase the table that contains the box with the no written on it. And what are you left with? You're left with only one table, only one possibility. Now, I did this little experiment in my mind when we were eating out with friends. So we were dining, we were eating, and there was at least 5 of us. And one friend asked me, how much do you think this is going to cost? And I remember saying $38, and they said that's impossible, we are so many people. Now, imagine, I imagined in my head a table, one table, not two, one table, one possibility. And I've placed on a piece of paper the 38, and I've put it in the box, and there was only one option, one solution, one choice. So, of course, the waiter came, and when they gave us the receipt, it was $38.12. Now, if I was a micro-analytical, titan-ass bastard, I would have said, but I said 38. Who cares about the 12 cents? Was it 38? Yes. Was it impossible? Yes. Now, when you are going to do that, I have placed on a piece of paper written the number 38, and I've placed it in the box. There was only one table, one choice, one option, and one solution. The other table was entirely erased. It's like it never existed in the first place. What would the other table have represented? The possibility of the receipt not being 38, being anything else but 38. Okay? Now, nevertheless, the waiter came, and the receipt was 38, of course. Now, what I did is I focused my mind, I focused my attention on a single table. There was one table. I didn't entertain the idea of another table. I didn't entertain the possibility of a no. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to imagine what you want to be manifested as being the only solution, the only option, the only path. Now, another example, which, because I spoke about paths, imagine your world being two paths. Now, if you take one path, the other one disappears. The one path that you've chose is all you can see. Now, of course, you're so powerful and you can change paths at any given moment. But the thing that the other path disappears and you are left with one path, it's still valid. Now, when you take a path that says, I'm gonna get my manifestation, you're going to erase from your mind entirely the fact that somewhere, there is another path that says you cannot get it. And that somewhere you're going to raise the expectation that at some point the path you've chosen will intersect or intermingle with the other path. So, do you know how they put on the horses? Like they put those eyes so that the horse can only see ahead? That's blinders. Yeah, you're going to have blinders on. Why? Because you wouldn't care. And I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't care. Now, a little personal discussion. To be honest, your life depends on it. Whether you put blinders on or not, your life depends on it. You cannot allow yourself to be distracted from your path. Because if you are allowing yourself to be distracted and you're going to entertain thoughts such as this won't work for whatever reason, it won't work. Okay? So you have to be dedicated to giving yourself the love that you crave, the experiences that you have. Why? You're not even creating them. They're already created. You simply have to select it. That's it. Come on. It's not that hard of a job. Select in your favor and remain on the path. Put blinders on. Choose to have only one table in your room. Okay? The virtual reality method. Now, your life is a virtual game. and you have created it, you've written the script, and you've also created the NPCs. Now, I know this method is not new, but I'm going to present it in my own way. Okay? So, you wake up and you put your VR glasses on. If you didn't have the opportunity to be in a VR game, do it. You're going to change the whole perspective, and you're going to embody more of what I'm saying right now. You put your VR on, and at some point, as you walk in your 3D, you tend to forget that there are just VRs. I was playing a VR game the other day, and someone just came at me, and I forgot it's just a VR, and I cannot actually get hurt. Why? Because my body is not actually real. My body is incapable of feeling pain because it's just a VR avatar. So your 3D is just a VR avatar. To be honest, pain is not actually felt. You manifest feeling pain. Now everyone in your reality is a guest. When you put your VR on and some NPC comes, and it seems like it attacks you, it hurts you, and this could be easily translated in it's talking to you, something like that, or it kind of tends to hurt you. You will understand that there is nothing to hurt because you don't have an actual body. The same way you don't have an actual body here. It's a dream. It's a virtual reality. So you cannot actually be hurt by anyone. Everyone is an NPC, and they are programmed to do exactly what you want them to do. So this is going to aid you into understanding that everything that happens here is just an illusion, and you are not actually hurt. You are just having an experience that you yourself create. And you can also go further. So viewing them as robots, as an AI, how to call it, prompt. Like you put in the prompt and they are bound to do that. Because look, they don't have their own thoughts. They are unable to make their own decisions. And regarding the diagram I told you I'm going to do, it's very simple. If you can see the circle, like what happens in your reality, and this is all you. So creation, okay? Creation is already finished. Creation. Observation. You observe your creation. Now through this observation, a desire arises for you to have or be something. Now the desire is followed by intention, which is a thought. The thought of the intention. The desire is also a thought. So it's the thought to desire something. All desires come from lack. Okay? I'm going to touch base after. So it's intention. Then it's manifestation, which is also creation. And then observation, desire, intention, manifestation, observation, desire, intention, manifestation. Now your specific puppet lacks desire. They lack an element from all this cycle. So all the cycle is broken. First of all, they lack desire, they lack intention, they lack observation. They cannot observe something, okay? Because they cannot experience creation, so they lack one element. It's all ruined. How can you understand they lack desire? Well, for the basic thing that by doing reverse engineer, you understood that what they desire was just an answer to your command. Now your command was either in your favor, which was a good command, giving you whatever you want, or it was against you, like it was something, I'm not wanted, I'm not worshipped, I'm not desired, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so your specific puppet showed up as having a desire because this was the way for them to be able to express to you who you really are. Basically, the I don't want you was only the result of a command that you had given in the 3D by mistake based on your self-image. Okay, so the VR method, the VR approach it's easy to understand that I cannot actually be attacked by anyone. This is my creation. Nothing can attack me. Nothing is against me. It's just a VR. It's just a game. It's nothing else, okay? And this also goes by it being a dream, and I can lucid dream. So can you see how when you have this kind of approaches, so many other approaches come to you, and you can actually manipulate your reality as you writing the script, writing the game. Nothing can happen to you. This is your game, and basically no one can hurt the creator of the game, okay? No one is stupid enough. You can even see it like that. Let's combine two methods and make them a very funny, tricky, and very pleasant method. So we're going to combine the divide and conquer, and we're going to combine the personifying. Now what we're going to do is we're going to personify all the objects around your specific puppet so that they torment them. Now this is funny, it's a little evil, but I know you're gonna have fun with it. You're going to personify the phone that your specific puppet has, and you're going to say their phone only wants to be calling me, only wants to be texting me. You're going to personify the bed. The bed wants me. The bed in his room wants me. His house wants me there, wants my presence. So by personifying these objects, you're going to be safe in the trusting that everything around your specific puppet, it's tormenting them, so to speak. So you're not going to focus anyway on your specific puppet. You're going to focus on the objects that surround him. For example, I'm going to give you the example of how I found out and invented this method. Long ago, when I was just a regular person working, I was working at a gas station, and I never had good assumptions about the people there that were ruling the place. Bear in mind, I had only started the law of assumption. I had only started understanding that I'm God and I create my reality. So I was a little tiny kindergarten baby poo. So because I had bad assumptions about the people working there, ruling the place, I threw myself out of there. Okay, and the way I talk, I'm going to present it to you in another method so that you do it. So you see how I take full accountability. And I now understand I've created all this, and I keep myself aware. Now, I've created myself to be thrown out of the place, and they threw me out. I didn't have a job back then. I was scared. I was in fear because I had really bad assumptions about money too. Like, I was someone that couldn't get... I was living paycheck to paycheck. And that thing really traumatized me. And you see what words I'm using right now. It's foolish. So I was trying to affirm the way coaches present in the videos, like, this is not my reality. I'm there. Nothing worked. And I understood how nothing worked. And this is how you're going to understand how nothing worked. When you affirm for something, if you still have like this shadow inside of you, like if your affirmations don't cool you down, don't make you feel safe, the kind of feeling that, you know what, it's done, it's taken care of, I'm safe now, I'm relaxed, I'm good to go, okay, I'm good. So my affirmations wouldn't give me that kind of thing. It would give me anxiety, it would give me more fear. So what I did is I came up with a trick, because affirming for my employees or for me personally felt very personal. I was very attached to that job. Not that it provided me with anything, not that I provided myself with anything through it, but for me back then it was life-threatening, like being unemployed. It was life-threatening. So I came up with the idea, instead of affirming for them or me, I started viewing the building, viewing the gas station, is craving for me to be there. I would view the pumps, the gas station pumps, because I was viewing the gas pumps, craving to be touched only by me. So they wouldn't want anyone else working there and touching them. They would want only me. So I was the most important thing for them there, for the pumps and for the building. So the building was craving for me. The pumps were craving for me. And I felt this sense of relief. And I felt okay. I felt okay. I can trust the building and I can trust the pumps, that somewhere, somehow, they are going to convince the owners. You know, I said convince because no one is convincing. So their desire is for me to be there. The building's desire, the pump's desire is for me to be there. That means I will be there because I trust these elements. So I was personifying the elements, okay? Nevertheless, I think I was kicked out. I got kicked out on Thursday. And on Monday, the owners called me and told me, we want you to come back. Now, did I bother myself to say, hey, what happened? Oh, this is magic. No. I trusted the building. I trusted the pump. So I trusted the objects. Why? Because by default, you know, objects don't have the power to reject you. They don't have the power to say, no, we don't want you here. They're objects. By default, objects don't have opinions. So it's easier this way to personify the objects. So you're going to personify the objects around your specific puppet. For example, you can think of anything. The couch wants you there. The house wants you there. The roads, the streets he's walking on crave for you. Okay, so you're gonna do what you did in the first chapter by having the surroundings, and you're gonna personify them. And don't you worry what happens. You're going to find out later. It will be presented to you like they're gonna say something like, this whole place reminds me of you, or something like that. I cannot be in my house. It feels weird, but I think my house likes you, or something like that. Like they're gonna be like stupid parrots or something like that. Okay, so personify the objects around them. Think of anything. Their car reminds me of them. Their car reminds them of me. Okay, now something that I didn't say in the first method. When you personified the hands and the eyes and made them work in your favor, you can also personify the thoughts. Every thought you have is about me. The thoughts in the head are all about me. So can you see how by personifying objects, you can get to your end outcome faster? Now, let's touch base, because I think I didn't speak enough about it. What's the aim of techniques? What is the aim of all these methods that I'm presenting you with? It's the sense of relief that it's done for you. I cannot describe it to you in words. It would be something like, I'm safe. I am not threatened by the idea that I could lose this. I am not threatened by fear. It's like I don't even know how to say it. It tells fear off. It soothes you. It soothes the fear in you. Okay, it makes fear stop talking. So that's why I came up with so many methods that are not directly dedicated to your outcome, are not focusing directly on your outcome, but rather they are indirectly having the same result, therefore aiding you in not focusing on the outcome, especially if you're attached to it. And it makes you turn your focus to elements that aid you, because you do have thousands of billions of elements helping you. Now, I can even affirm for this tree. This tree is bringing me my SP to see me today. What would I know Or this tree wants us, both my SP and me, to sit and lay at its shadow. Now the tree will do its job. Do I need to know how it's going to do its job? It's like basically I'm transferring a little of my power to the tree and I'm trusting it to fulfill its purpose. Its purpose is for me and my SP to have a picnic there. You see? You see the tree? Now this is where the tree wants us to hang on. Back there, have a picnic. Do I even care about my SP? Do I even bring her into discussion? Am I even fighting a certain opinion of hers? Am I going in the 3D and saying, hey love, let's go have a picnic? I don't even need to do that. And not to mention, it's even more wonderful, especially in the love department. When you just give commands, it's so amazing and so wonderful, and it's so full of surprises to give the commands and to see how they all unfold and the series of events that need to take place just so that you can have your desire. Okay, so I just gave you an example. You get the idea. I know you do. Just apply. Now, when you personify the objects around your specific person, it could be easy as the bed. The bed reminds them of me. The pillow, the air they breathe, the thoughts, everything like that surrounds them. You can also personify every single element in your life. As, for example, you can personify anxiety and tell it to go away. You can personify depression and tell it to leave you the fuck alone. So basically, you personify everything in your reality, starting from the tiniest element to the, let's say, biggest element, but nothing is big or small, everything is equal. So you can do this for the things that are bothering you and tell them to go away. Now, never for a fact think that they do have a mind of their own, that anxiety has a mind of its own and chose you, or that ADHD has a mind of its own, or poverty, or whatever you're dealing with has a mind of its own and chose to bug you. Nothing chose to bug you. It's just a creation out of the infinite possibilities that exist there. So don't bother yourself with ideas such as, it just won't go away, CJ. I just command it to go away, it won't go away. Well, when you command it to go away, of course, you must have done step 2 and doing reverse engineer to understand that it never had a free will to not go away. Okay, so you're going to do it demanding, authoritarian, knowing that that concept will obey you. It's an obedient little concept. It's an obedient little, tiny little servant that will obey you. Okay, the CEO method, approach, aka approach. So every time I say method, it's actually an approach, it's an attitude. In my opinion, from my perspective, this is the approach that I have dearest to my heart. It's my favorite approach of all, my favorite attitude of all. Now, you are the CEO of your world, and your world, your 3D, is your company. Now, the same way a CEO commands its employees, his employees, to do their fucking job, that's how you command every element in your life, in your reality, to do his fucking job. Now, who are these employees of yours? Well, we will start from your inner world. Your employees are your thoughts, your assumptions, your beliefs, your fears, your doubts. Yes, they are your employees. And then continuing to the manifested 3D, your desire is also your employee, okay? So, and now we go into the 3D and we view employees, the birds, the trees, the sun, the whole universe, people, blah, 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 all the other. So everything that you can basically think of, it's infinite. So I'm not going to be able to list them all. Money is your employee. Everything is your employee. Now, when a CEO gives a command, gives an order, bear in mind that the employee doesn't have any other choice but to fulfill their job, to do their job, which is to become what you want it to become therefore ceasing to be what it already is that you don't no longer like. For example, you've given the wrong command based on your fear and doubts to your specific puppet to be an asshole. Now, he was just performing his job. It was in his duties because, as being the employee in your company, he has to do as you say. Now, knowing that they have no free will, they have no choice, you can allow yourself to expect the best attitude from their part, to expect the best experience in your life. So you're going to give the order, aka command, and you're going to say, well, you're going to do this, you're going to love me, you're going to adore me, you're going to worship me. Now, can you hear me say and talk in the future? Well, it doesn't really actually matter, because when, let's say for example, maybe you are an employee, okay? Maybe you work for someone. Your boss doesn't talk to you in present tense or in past tense. You've done this, or you're going to do this, and I expect the best results from your side. Now bear in mind, even your boss in your 3D world is your employee. So if you don't like the way he behaves, she behaves, you change the attitude by commanding him, you're going to behave like this, you behave like this. So it's okay to affirm in the present or future tense. Don't be so tight, don't be so anal, just affirm in whatever tense you feel like affirming. Don't set a rule upon yourself. As I've said before, your whole life you've manifested affirming in the future tense. Now, let's talk a little about love and relationships, because if you think that feelings are a personal decision of each and every person in your world, then you're mistaken. Because what are feelings? So aren't feelings just a product, just an object? Because when you affirm for love, what you actually affirm for is the action that you get out of the relationship, is the experience that you get out of relationship. Now, most of the time you find the reason, you reason with relationship, and you say, well, they brought me coffee, they make me a massage, they take me there because they love me. But it's actually the experience of them coming towards you, pursuing you, worshiping you, that you are interested, okay? So no matter the reason behind the experience, you shouldn't hang up on, well, feelings are something that everyone is responsible for, and it has to be in their heart. I cannot convince you. They were born adoring you. They were born worshiping you. Default settings, your specific puppet's default settings are unconditional love, worshiping you, adoring you, blah blah blah. Now, they may not have displayed that because you, due to fears, doubt, and believing that everyone has their own free will and they can choose to reject you, it's what created a nasty behavior in your specific puppet. Now bear in mind, specific puppet can be a lover, a boss, a friend, a co-worker, whatever, a sibling, doesn't matter, okay? It's specific because you know who they are. Now, they can also be general in the way strangers behave with you. It's also by default, their settings are adoring you, worshiping you, okay? So they're just employees performing their own fucking job. Now, as the CEO of your company, once you start embodying and acknowledging, because you are already the CEO, but you're not consciously embodying it, and you start behaving as a fucking employee. Now that you understand you're the CEO because you've done step 2 and you understood that you're the one creating this whole fucking world, well, now that you understood that, you're going to start behaving. What does behaving mean? Well, in the 3D, you're not going to start chasing your specific puppet. You're not going to start begging them. You're not going to start people pleasing them. Well, if you don't like doing something, you're not going to do it anymore. Let's say, for example, your specific puppet is 500 miles away from you and you want to see them. Instead of you going into your car and start driving to see them, you're going to give them command, and they are going to start coming to you. They're going to come to you. Well, if it's your desire, and if you want to go because it's, I don't know, the environment is nice, the road is nice, the sightseeing is nice, and you do want to see the city, yes, of course, but not from the assumption that my specific puppet cannot do it, so I have to do it, because if I don't do it, they're never gonna do it. So you're going to start behaving as the CEO of your company. You're going to start having the attitude of the CEO. Now, if you have tolerated unpleasant behavior, if you have tolerated unpleasant circumstances just because at one point you thought you couldn't do better, well, as the CEO of your company, would you tolerate something like that? Would you tolerate an experience that doesn't fulfill you? You wouldn't tolerate it. So you would start aiming for better experiences, for better expectations. So that's what happens when you embody a certain identity. Your desires will shift. You will no longer be pleased or fulfilled with, I don't know, a text message. You would view this as a crumb, okay? Now, your 3D doesn't fulfill you, you fulfill yourself through your 3D. But let's be fucking honest. I know that many say, oh, you have to be fulfilled from within. Well, okay, I am fulfilled from within, but I came in this world to enjoy my own creations, so I'm sorry if my food fulfills me, okay? So feel free to be authentic. No one says that you have to be fulfilled from the outside, but it's nice, okay? So that's it for the CEO method. Let's go to method number 10. The puppet method. The puppet method is very easily, actually, the image in the book of techniques, the book of methods, I don't even know how it's called. So the image there practically shows to you what you are doing with your specific puppet. And it's not only your specific puppet, it's your specific element. So if you change the aspect of the puppet and you replace it and put money in the aspect of the money, you're actually doing like this. You're manipulating the personified concept of money. So money is going to obey you. Now, the strings that the puppet has attached to your hands are the assumptions, beliefs, commands. What is more powerful? What makes a puppet move into your world? What makes it breathe? What makes it walk, talk, and bullshit like this? Well, the general assumption that live puppet exists, the general assumption that they move. Now, you don't have to micromanage everything, because if you were to consciously manifest the movement of billions and billions of puppets, you wouldn't end by 10,000 years. So this is a good thing that by default, on autopilot, they move, they talk, they breathe. Now, the way they behave towards you, that's a different aspect. So you start manipulating that behavior by giving commands to your puppet. Now, can you see how immediately as you move your finger, the puppet moves? So immediately as you give the command, the puppet receives it and starts doing it. Now, that's why you should not get hung up on timelines, time frames, or deadlines. Are you able to manifest within a time frame? Of course you are. But you will get the results when you do it from the authority point of view, when you have released the assumption that there are delays, when you have released the assumption that there needs to be a process in your specific puppet's mind in order for them to take the action. When you give a command, when you raise your fingers and you start manipulating your puppet, the first thing you should keep in mind is that your commands are instant. Your commands are always instant because they move, they talk, they breathe. This is a result, this is a manifestation of your instant command of them being alive. Now, don't get hung up and don't check the 3D. You command your specific puppet to do something coming from the premises that it's instant. You don't need any more proof in the 3D. If you need any more proof, go back, do step 2, do reverse engineer. So we are not taking our cues from the 3D. We're not sucking information from the 3D. okay? This is for this puppet method, the puppet approach. You start viewing them, because that's what approaches are. You start viewing them as what they are, okay? The methods have come to an end. Now feel free to use the methods all at once. Feel free to use which one resonates for you. You can use one method for one subject, the other method for other areas. The basics of this course are to make you understand that you are the master puppeteer. You puppeteer and you pull the strings of everything that happens in your life. Your experiences, your thoughts, your assumptions, your specific puppets, your health, your money, your objects, they are all puppeteered. You pull the strings of everything. Now, the strings are imaginary assumptions, okay? But does the assumption rule you? No assumption rules you. I myself have changed an assumption I had for 32 years just because I didn't want to be that person anymore. And this comes in a relationship with my parents. So what I did was, for 32 years, I was unappreciated, so to speak. I didn't have the experience that I wanted to have with my parents. So what I did is I sat one night and I placed myself. Now, I'm not a very good visualizer, but I do hear voices. Bear in mind, I didn't do the technique in order to try and force something in my 3D to change. I did the shift. I thought of it as a shift that I changed myself. So I've placed myself in another mental experience where I was in the middle of my kitchen and I heard my mother and my father talking to me. My mother was telling my father that they should cook for me or something like that. And I felt being in the center of the attention. I felt being pleased, worshipped, if I may say so. Now, I dropped it and I completely forgot it, not as a technique, not because I have to forget it in order for it to manifest. It naturally happened because I was satisfied, meaning I had indeed embodied the person that I wanted to embody when I was in that state. So 1 week later, everything just shifted. The whole relationship shifted. Out of nowhere, they started talking to me the same way I imagined them to talk. So I don't care if your assumption has been 50 years old or, I don't know, 10 months or 10 days. It changes. The assumption doesn't rule you. You rule the assumption. You basically puppeteer your assumption based on your decision to have and be what it is that you want to have and be. So if you've had enough with your circumstances, and basically you've had enough with your circumstances because you've had enough being the person that you are, that's why you've had enough. Never for a fact mistaken that everything is against you and the circumstances are against you. If you've done step 2 correctly, you will understand that nothing was against you. They were just obeying your orders. So based on that step 2 that you are recommended to do for the rest of your life, because it's a good idea, yeah, trust me. It's not like a homework, but rather to be aware of the fact that yes, indeed, you are in charge and no one commands you and nothing commands you. So you're going to understand that the assumption, what it was also an idea that you accepted to be true over and over and over again, and that's why it's an assumption. So a belief, an assumption, I don't know, a pattern belief, I don't even give a fuck, an identity. You shift your identity instantly. The moment you decide that, you know what, I'm going to refuse to be that person, everything will change. So puppeteering your specific puppet is putting thoughts in their head. I don't actually like this because there is no head, there is no mind. You are the only thinker. But for the sake of the example, you're putting thoughts in their head, and I know I'm not the first creator to say it, but who cares? It's my world, so I'm gonna do whatever I want. You're putting thoughts in their heads, and they are basically behaving upon the thoughts that you're putting. You can also imagine them being an open box, and then you pouring the thoughts in their heads, and they are going to act upon the thoughts. Now, the same goes with health, the same goes with money. Although for these areas, I do like the third method, where is, I think it was the third one, where you personify your, that's what I use in general. Now, in order to successfully get what you want, go general. Don't go into micromanaging and microanalyzing all the little specifics. Personify your life. Make it go as you wish. Make it be your most loyal servant. Like, my life supports me, my life is so good, I'm supported, I'm worshipped, I'm protected at all costs, I'm the most important person here, everyone adores me. Go general by all means. And in the manifestation challenge that you're going to do, there will be two steps, I think. The first step, and you'll do this for as long as you like, you're going to walk in your 3D for as long as you like, and you're going to watch your 3D, and you're going to understand that no person out there has their own mind. And for the rest of the challenge, you are going to view yourself as the privileged motherfucker, the privileged VIP that everyone bends over to please. I'm going to do more specifics in the second workbook, which would be about the manifestation challenge. This is all. Apply. I don't think you need any more information. You have all the information that you need. Now use it. And that's it.
Опять заплатил 100 тысяч за курс? Стоп. Знакомься. ssl.b. Здесь курсы инфо-цыган сливаются бесплатно. Бизнес, психология, шитье, кулинария, фитнес, языки, десятки тысяч материалов. От школьника до пенсионера найдется все. Без VPN. Без ограничений. Один платеж. И доступ навсегда. Уже сотни тысяч умных людей качают премиум знания за копейки. Заходи на ssl.band, регистрируйся за 30 секунд и забирай все. Этот курс ты уже скачал отсюда. Представь, что там еще есть.